Remember Firefox, the independent web browser with the cool fox logo? Despite what you may have heard, the fox in the logo is still alive and well, but I'm not sure if I can say the same for Firefox itself. Because Firefox has been losing market share for over a decade. They used to be on top of the world with almost a third of all internet users using Firefox. But these days, only a pitiful 2.79% of people still use Firefox. And Firefox has been constantly losing users. In the past 5 years, they've lost 70 million monthly active users, or almost 30% of their users. Why is Firefox doing so badly? Now, if you look at some people talking about Firefox online, you'll probably see a lot of people saying that, oh, it's just because Google Chrome took over the market, and Google just has an unlimited marketing budget. So of course they're going to take over the market, and there's not much that Firefox could have done. And that seems to be the most common narrative that you hear out there. Unfortunately for them, Google Chrome just ate their lunch, because Google Chrome is now the most popular web browser in the world with a 65% market share. But I don't think that's the whole story, because Mozilla, the organization behind Firefox, has been constantly making bad decision after bad decision over the years. And over the years, Mozilla's hypocrisy, their disregard for their users, and their active efforts to just make Firefox worse instead of better have finally caught up to them. And people are abandoning ship. So how did Mozilla and Firefox go from one of the most beloved browsers to irrelevant and even hated? So in order to get to the bottom of things, I think we need to start where most people do, on their download page. So all over their download page, we can see what makes Firefox different. And probably the most common theme that you'll see on here is privacy. Mozilla protects your privacy, Mozilla cares about your privacy, Mozilla gives you outstanding privacy by default. Firefox doesn't like all of these creepy trackers that follow you around the internet. I'm sure you know that big companies like Facebook and Google collect all kinds of your personal data to sell to advertisers. And at first glance, this sounds pretty good. Of course I want a browser that cares about my privacy. So you might think that Mozilla is going to protect you from these big evil companies like Google that want to harvest your personal data. I mean, they even ran this giant advertising campaign years ago, saying Big Browser is watching you. Actually, that's pretty clever. And all over Mozilla's website, you will hear them put people over profits. That's almost their unofficial slogan. So you might be surprised whenever you download and open Firefox for the first time, and you see that the default search engine is Google. Now, that's a little bit weird because Google is one of the most privacy-invasive search engines out there. You would think that they would use something like DuckDuckGo, which does respect your privacy. And you might be a little bit confused until you take a look at Mozilla's financials and realize that Google is giving them $500 million every single year in order to put them as the default search engine. And from the outside, it might look like they're really against Google, but in fact, they're Mozilla's biggest customer. And I kind of understand, because if I was getting $500 million from Google every year, I also would put profits over people. But you might not even think that's a huge deal, because this is kind of common knowledge. A lot of people already know this. Because besides this, I'm sure that they really care about protecting their users from online tracking, right? Well, except for the fact that their website has Google Analytics, and Google reCAPTCHA, and a Google double-click pixel, so that they can track their users and send all their data to Google. And they send your location to Google in their browser. And they ping Google in your browser to make sure that you're not going to a malicious website. But besides that, they really don't want Google tracking you and collecting all of your data, right? So at this point, you might be thinking, maybe Mozilla doesn't care about privacy as much as they claim to. But why does all of this privacy stuff really matter? Well, I would say that privacy is one of the only things that Firefox still has that makes it better than Google Chrome. Because objectively, Firefox is worse than Chrome in performance and speed and convenience. You can't just sign in with your Google account, something that everybody already has, and sync it across every device. Not to mention that a lot of websites just work better on Chrome than Firefox. Because since most people use Chrome, a lot of developers optimize for it instead of Firefox. It's sad but true. And so if Firefox is worse than Chrome in all of these aspects, then why would you use Firefox over Chrome? Well, probably your privacy, right? I think a lot of people use Firefox because they care about privacy. They don't want Google to collect all of their data. But Mozilla has shown time and time that they really don't care about privacy as much as they say they do. As another example, let's take a look at FakeSpot. So FakeSpot is a company that Mozilla recently acquired, and they make a browser extension that helps you spot fake reviews online. Seems useful, right? But let's check their privacy policy. What kind of information do they collect about their users? and they say they're going to use your personal information to provide you with content and advertisements. Wait, isn't Mozilla against using personal data for targeted ads? I guess not. Because what this browser extension collects about you, it collects your online shopping history, your location, your browser info, your search history, and it tracks you with cookies and tracking pixels. Oh, and they also share all of this information with third-party advertising partners. So they're going to harvest all of your personal data and then just send it wherever they want. And Mozilla just bought this company a few months ago, and they say they want to integrate this into Firefox directly. But of course, when they put it in Firefox, they're going to make it more privacy-respecting, right? Well, I don't know about that because Mozilla is already promoting FakeSpot. They're telling you to download it on their website, and they're telling you what a great tool it is. Except they don't mention the part where they collect all of your data and give it to advertisers. So, great job, Mozilla. Doesn't that sound like a feature that you want built into your privacy browser? But this isn't the only terrible product that Mozilla has integrated into Firefox, because a few years ago they integrated Pocket into their browser. Now, Pocket is a bookmarking service where maybe you can save an article to read later. And when you first start up Firefox, you'll see a Save to Pocket button and sponsored articles from Pocket by default. Oh yeah, and Pocket also doesn't care about your privacy either. So as soon as I go to Pocket's website, they're immediately trying to send me advertising cookies. They want to give me personalized ads by sending all of my data to a third-party advertiser. At least it's a limited amount of data. Thanks, Mozilla. I mean, at least it's opt-in. That's what this giant cookie banner is for. But why do they need to show me personalized ads in the first place? Not to mention that by default, Firefox collects a whole bunch of data about you. It sends an absolute boatload of telemetry to Mozilla that you have to opt out of, not opt in. So that's great. I love sending my browser tons of information about me. So does Mozilla really care about your privacy, or is that just something they say because privacy is trendy now? I mean, even companies like Facebook are telling us how much they care about our privacy. So that's one reason why you might not trust Mozilla or Firefox. But wait a minute, let's back up a little bit. So before I said that Google was giving Firefox almost $500 million a year, and you might be wondering, why is Mozilla making so much bank? I thought they were a nonprofit. This sounds like big business. Well, Mozilla the Foundation is a nonprofit, but the nonprofit is only the wrapper for two for-profit companies. These are both 100% owned by Mozilla, the Mozilla Corporation and Mozilla Technologies Corporation. And unlike the noble nonprofit, these companies are all about making that cheddar. And make no mistake, Mozilla is a big business. They like to present themselves as the scrappy underdog, but as of 2021, they have over $1.1 billion in assets. So this is a huge company. But wait a minute, doesn't Mozilla also collect donations? If they're making so much money, what do they need donations for? On their website, they say that they rely on donations. That's not entirely true. Donations only make up 1% of their revenue. In 2021, they received $7 million out of $600 million in revenue. Oh, and by the way, if you donate to Mozilla, not a single cent of your donations go towards Firefox. Maybe you want to support your favorite browser by donating to Mozilla, but it's not making the browser any better. All of that money goes to Mozilla's social work. You might be wondering, what kind of work does the Mozilla Foundation do? So this is kind of an activist organization that tries to make the world better. And they have created some absolutely great work, like this extension right here that turns bad words into boss. Hey boss! So instead of getting harassed online, you are now being empowered with this extension. And with this extension installed, you get amazing phrases like son of a boss. Or maybe you've been boss slapped. I wish I was making this up. But if that doesn't impress you too much, that is not the only activism that Mozilla does. They also want to make big bad corporations like TikTok, Slack, Tinder, and YouTube better. They want these corporations to respect their users' privacy more, or maybe be more transparent. And the way that they're going to do this is with online petitions. Because everybody knows how effective online petitions are, right? But they also post their victories, like they finally got Slack to implement a block button, which I guess is good. And they finally got TikTok to be more transparent, I guess. Now, even if you think this work is valuable, and maybe they can convince these big companies to protect some small aspect of users' privacy, these companies have already taken 10 steps forward, and Mozilla is only making them take one step back. I don't think the solution to all of the problems with big tech is kindly asking them to stop being big meanies. Mozilla is also completely out of touch, and it seems like they want to alienate their users as much as possible. Like in one article, it sounds like they're all against censorship. And Mozilla always talks about how much they care about the open web. But in the next article, they're talking about how we need more censorship. Because we need to get rid of fake news. And we have to have these social media companies amplify factual voices over disinformation. Wait, I thought they didn't even like these big tech platforms. And how does getting big tech to censor even more help the open web? And they always talk about people over profits, but they keep making decisions that show that they don't care about this. Like that time when they automatically installed suspicious add-ons without users' consent. Or maybe show giant Disney ads in their browser that nobody wanted, just so they could make a quick buck with a sponsorship. It seems like they never listen to their users because all of their redesigns and UI updates to Firefox are always almost universally hated. Like their latest redesign effort that just made accessibility worse and removed features that longtime users really like. And Firefox is not really in the position to be saying to their users, well, just deal with it, because if people don't like the redesign, they will just leave. This is the kind of company that really needs to listen to its most loyal fans, because these are the only people that really still care about Firefox. But with every update, it just seems like they want to simplify things for new users without ever thinking about what the old users want. They want to make it easier to use, but most normal people are just going to choose Google Chrome. Because their browser has barely improved in years, they keep trying to throw out random things like a new Mozilla VPN or a password manager. And most of these things outside of the browser that they try are just total failures. I mean, at this point, Mozilla's failed projects are even giving Google's graveyard a run for its money. And they have no real incentive to make their browser better because even if they do a terrible job and shrink their market share even more, they always get their big $500 million check from Google every year. So really, what incentive is there to improve it? How about the time when they laid off almost a quarter of their employees? And all of these people were working in software development, presumably most of them working on Firefox. And of course, Firefox is the only thing actually bringing in money for them. And to add insult to injury, during all of these layoffs, the CEO took a major pay increase. When Mozilla's new CEO, Michelle Baker, took over, while Firefox's market share was declining, she took a huge pay increase from $1 million a year to $2.5 million in 2018. And as Firefox is circling the drain, she's taken even a bigger pay increase. In 2021, she made $5.6 million while her company is falling apart. But during these tough times when all of these software developers were losing their jobs, none of the executives could possibly accept a pay decrease. That's too much to ask for. Oh, but they just couldn't have done anything differently. I mean, maybe Nintendo could. Whenever they were going through some tough times, they didn't lay off any staff. The CEO of Nintendo gave himself a 50% pay cut, and all of the other board members also took small pay decreases. But of course, you can't expect Mozilla to be held to these same sorts of standards. And so with all of these bad decisions that Mozilla has made over the years, you'll have to forgive me if I find it very hard to trust Mozilla with anything anymore. Because the reason that Firefox is doing so badly right now is because of Mozilla's bad decisions. And each of these small bad decisions that Mozilla makes doesn't really sound like that big of a deal. But over time, these bad decisions really start to pile up, and I think that this is, more than anything, what is really doing Firefox in. They've made their browser worse. They essentially lie to their users by claiming that they care about privacy when they really don't. You can tell by their actions. They constantly say one thing and then do the opposite. So I guess it's do as I say, not do as I do. But I'm not even saying this out of a place of hate. I really want Firefox to get better. I want them to start making better decisions. I want them to refocus their attention on building a good product. I want them to listen to their users. Pay attention to what their biggest fans want instead of trying to appease anybody but them. I like Firefox. I still use Firefox on a daily basis. At least after you remove all of the junk that Mozilla has added over the years. I really want Firefox and Mozilla to do better. But I'm not holding my breath anymore.